All right, very excited for a very unique podcast today. I'm joined by the Lenos, Charles and Jen. How you guys doing today?
Good. How are you?
Yeah,
I was
doing
like, who
good.
wants to say hi?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Jen, let's start with how did you guys meet? How did the Lenos become a thing?
All right, the real story or the fake story? Because we have two.
Please, the real story, of course.
We matched on Tinder, the dating app
Ah,
back in the day. So we tell people all the time we met at work because I worked for the Bears at the time that he was drafted there. But we actually matched on Tinder, and then we're like, oh, we work at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
what were you doing for the Bears at the time?
I just worked in like events and helping with that kind of stuff.
Off season just about over. Charles, what does a typical off season look like for you?
Well, they change, every other year. I mean, every year is different. Over the last 3 years, it's been different because we had three kids over the last 3 years. So, um, this year was really good. I think probably my favorite off season I had so far. Just being able to see what life is going to be like fully being a dad, taking our kids to Montessori school every day, picking them up, doing my workouts, and just kind of like to giving them baths every night, doing activities after they would get out of school or after I was done with workouts. Trying to plan things on the weekends that we could do to keep them active. So probably my favorite off season so far, and just enjoying time with my family. So typically, just usually just consists of working out, but this year was a little bit different with the full schedule being that.
It was a very interesting off season for you, Charles. Walter Payton Man of the Year stuff. I know you guys went to the Super Bowl to do that. Had to be an incredible thing. What we remember most.
What I remember most about it is just the amount of different stories and impacts all the guys had. That's probably what I remember the most about it. So many great guys doing great things in the community, and I think that's what needs to be, promoted more. In all honesty, not only me, but tons of other guys. I leaving that place. I know me and my wife talked. We was like, wow, like we still can do more because we listen to so many different stories and hear so many different guys and the impact they're making in their community. So that's what I got out of it.
Jen, is it frustrating that the guys don't necessarily get enough credit for the works that they do off the field? I don't probably think that the average fan realizes how much time is spent being appreciative and giving back. Is it frustrating in that way?
I think I have learned just for with Charles's position as a whole, even on the field as an offensive lineman, people don't understand that. So I think for me, it's kind of normal because I'm like, you don't understand what he does on the field, and you don't understand what he does off the field. And so clearly, I see the amount of hours that get put into what he's doing on the field, and to look at it like he said, we have a family of three little ones at home, and for us to, or especially him, for me to be able to put in the hours that I do for our organization is, that's just my job type of thing. But for him, I'm like, he goes to a full time job plus some. I mean, there's days he leaves at 6 a.m., doesn't get home till 6 p.m., and then has treatment right away. So I'm like, that's a normal day for us. And to see all of the efforts that he puts in the community, it doesn't matter if people recognize that or not because of the impact he's making on the kids' lives that he works with or the individuals. So I think that sometimes I feel like he should get more recognition, but I know that that doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Charles, how much time is put into the recovery process and the treatment process? A lot more than probably a lot of people realize.
Yeah, a lot of time. Um, I just got done getting a massage, so I mean, I'm always working on my body. I think that's something that's uh, not talked about enough when it comes to dealing with athletes and professional athletes.
Are we
Um,
talking about acupuncture and the whole nine here? You got any
well,
crazy things you're into to
I mean,
rejuvenate the
it all
body?
depends on what you're into. I mean, I'm not into all the acupuncture stuff, but I'm into just moving the body. But that's why I get up early. I go in and lift and I work out early in the morning before meetings even start because that's what helped me over my career. I've been doing that for Honestly, since I started playing, since I actually started playing the game in the NFL. I've been working with a trainer that when I was back in Chicago, I just happened to be in there, and I was just like, yeah, guys, come in the mornings, and he was like, yeah, no problem, and I carried that on throughout my career, and I continue to do it now. So it's not only just the things that you do at the facilities, things that you do outside the facility as well. It's a lot of time and effort putting into that. But the fans, they only see us on Sunday, so they think that's the only thing we do. But it's a lot that goes into it to stay out there on the football field.
Charles, I think you told me last time you were on the show that you've lived in all four time zones. You guys were back in California this year to put on a football camp. Tell me a little bit about it. It was the first one you've done out in California, right?
Yep, first one, and it was an awesome one. We had over like 100 kids there. Had my friends come out, had family come out. So it was always great seeing them. But did it for in the city that went to high school in San Leandro. Born and raised in Oakland, but went to school in San Leandro at San Leandro High for high school, and we did it at my field that I used to play at. So I used that as kind of a motivator for those kids to know that we're practicing on this field. We're about to have this camp on this field. This is the same field I played on. I'm doing the same thing that you guys will be doing, and I want to put them through that and let them know what it's like. But it always comes down to competition, effort, things that you can control. I want to make sure they understood that, but then also have a good time, have fun doing it, and enjoying the experience.
Jen, it's interesting. You mentioned the Bears earlier. I'm curious, like from the spouse's point of view, partner's point of view, when you find out that Charles has been let go by the Bears, like that's got to be a family effect. How does that work on you?
Yeah, I think for me, I think more so because clearly people get released from their teams all the time and go to another one. And for me though, so Charles was drafted to Chicago, but I'm a diehard Bears fan. So a lot of people, they get drafted to a team, whatever they go, and it's like, oh, okay, like on to the next. But like, my grandfather was one of the longest season ticket holders in Bears history. So I didn't miss very many games growing up. And literally up until even like his first year in Washington, I would have like my laptop open with the Bears game, and then I watch the Washington game like on TV. So last season was the first season like I didn't watch any Bears games unless it was like not playing at the same time as him or we were playing them. So it was hard for me because, like I said, I've watched a lot of Bears football. I'm from Chicago. All my family's there. I had never left Chicago before moving to Washington. We go to Texas for training or for his off-season training for a couple months. But I went to college in Chicago or within Illinois. I got my master's in the city. So I was like, that was just home. So it was hard when we left, but luckily I tell people a lot where we live in Virginia is just like where we lived in Illinois. It's our house even looks like our house in Illinois. So that was an easy adjustment once we, got settled in. And now I just told Charles a couple weeks ago, I think us getting released by Chicago and coming to Washington, it kind of set us up for like life after football. So we live in Texas. That's where we will raise our family after football. And it's not that hard of a transition there now because I've already done it. So it was hard, but definitely tested us in our relationship, I think. But, in the end, I'm glad it happened. And, I kind of said like one door closed and another one opened, and it's been great.
Charles, she kind of mentioned like looking to the future. When you see guys like Chase Roullier retire that you play with, like, can you allow yourself to see that far ahead, or is it like, no, I'm in this job that is very physical, and I can't worry myself with looking to the future. How do you kind of see that when guys start retiring that you know?
I would say it's first and foremost it's bittersweet because I know Chase was somebody who on the team I was really close to. We spent a lot of time together outside of football, and got to know him on a personal level, and somebody who I respect and admire, and his family dearly. So it's a bittersweet in that aspect because it's bitter in that aspect, but sweet in the fact that I know for a fact that he's going to do good things later on. But thinking about myself as well, um, life after football for me comes down to what I kind of did this off season. It's going to be one of those things where I uh, I was just talking about it actually not too long ago, but I was just talking about it today where I might actually you know just be a stay at home dad, something like that for a year or anything of that nature. I'm just excited that I'm going to actually have some time to myself. And I just want to make sure my body's healthy for that. I always talk about it with my strength staff about how I want to keep my body, healthy. So when I do am out of football, I'm not beat up to a point where, some of the guys are, where they can't do things with their family. That's something that's very conscious on my mind. So that's how I think about it, and that's how I want to be. I just want to make sure that I'm, healthy and able mentally first and foremost, because once this game's over, fans they look at your favorite players gone or whatever, but it's going to be another favorite player for you. But that favorite player that you had is going to be gone, and you don't know how they're going to be doing mentally or physically. So I want to make sure I take care of those things because your brain, and your body is going to go with you after all the accolades, after all the fans praising and screaming your name, after all that stuff is over. Your brain and your body is going to be going with you outside of this game. So you got to make sure you take care of that while you're in this game.
And Jen, I'm curious how it affects you too, because you become friends with the family members of teammates, and you'll sit together. And I know I'm pretty sure that you and Rouillet's spouse were close. How does that kind of affect you on the family side?
Yeah, I cried when they released Chase this year just because clearly most people who follow us on social media, they know Sarah literally delivered our baby last year. She cut the umbilical cord. So they became some of our best friends, and unfortunately, that's just part of this business. It's hard because you do become friends with those people. And for instance, us in Virginia, I'm like, I don't really have many friends outside of football. I don't have family here, so anything that I do, whether leaving my house, it's with our football family. I just told Charles yesterday I went to go work out, and I realized, we had a crew of like 6 of us that worked out, and I'm the only one left. I walked in,
Oh wow.
I was like, no one's here anymore. So I started up the group chats back today for the team, and I'm like, I feel like we removed half of the girls out of the chat because they're not here. So it's hard, but it's also fun in the way of like there's always somebody new every year. You always have, people who are in the same situation. There's so many people with kids the same age as mine. So, football's family, and you might leave one team or someone might leave your team, but you kind of just keep it rolling because we're all in the same thing. And, we often say that no one understands like what we're going through. It doesn't matter if you're my best friend or a family member, like you just don't get it because you're not in that life with us. So I love that our football family, like they get it. We have each other to lean on.
Charles, we had talked earlier about your release from the Bears. I'm also kind of curious. The kind of flip side of that is like this year, Broderick Jones gets drafted one pick before the Commanders pick. I'm curious if you're watching in the moment, if you're even thinking about that, kind of how teams draft. Does that affect you in the off season while you're watching those things?
No, I mean, to be honest with you, if they would have drafted him, I would have been happy. Because at the end of the day, that's an opportunity for a young player to come in and compete, and I can compete with. When it comes to the draft, when it comes to all that type of stuff, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore at this point in my career. I was in Chicago where I was a starter for 13 out of the 16 games, and that year everybody was saying I should have picked up a tackle, but I ended up playing 7 years there. So at the end of the day, I don't really care about that stuff. That stuff doesn't bother me. But for the people who are on my team, like the Brendan Daniels and the Ricky Strombergs and stuff like that who got drafted to our team, I'm gonna do everything I possibly can to help them and help them develop to be the best they can possibly be. Because at the end of the day, if they're good, then that means our depth's good. And if they're better than me, then that means our depth's really good because I think I'm a damn good player my damn self. So At the end of the day, you want to make sure your team is as deep as possible so we can win football games and make it to the Super Bowl and win it. So I'm not that stuff is for the fans. That's for stuff for everybody out there on the news cycles and stuff like that. Y'all can take it and run with it. I don't really care about that stuff. That's not me.
Three different left guards in 3 seasons. How important is that relationship? Is it tough? Obviously, it would have to be easier with the more reps that you played next to each other. How difficult is it kind of start over with a new running mate on that side of the field each year?
Well, it's been like that for my whole career. So,
Okay.
I mean, I have
I think
multiple.
he's up to almost like 30 left guards.
No, I ain't at 30, but it's been a lot.
You were
It's been
at
like,
24 when you left Chicago, I think.
I don't know how many I have, but I played next to a lot of guards. I've had a lot of offensive coordinators. I had a lot of offensive line coaches, and I'm still here. So I think I'm a pretty good player.
You excited about the new offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I like EB. EB brings a lot of good energy, a lot of excitement. He holds people accountable. He's just doing things the right way in terms of making us want, like not making us, but he is showing us what greatness is by his approach, and it makes us want to be great by holding us accountable. Because at the end of the day, professional athletes don't want to just lose football games. It's not fun losing. Period. I don't care what you're doing. I don't like losing Monopoly with Jen when we play. So I'm competitive. I want to win, and when you have someone that's pushing you to be the best that you possibly can be, all you want to do is go out there and play hard for them because they want the best for you. They want you to be great.
Regular Monopoly or Monopoly Go?
Monopoly Deal.
Monopoly Deal.
Yeah, Monopoly Deal. It's a card game. It's faster paced. It's probably takes like 10, 15 minutes, depending on if I'm playing and I'm on, I'll be there in like 2 minutes. It's that easy.
He doesn't win very often though. That's my game. So only when
I've been winning more often than in the years past.
Yes, yes. He's had a very good off season of Monopoly.
Very good off season. In the past, sometimes I almost, quit in the middle of the game. But
throws cards at me, walks out of the room. Very
the banter, I assume, is what make the podcast nice. You two have started a podcast together, correct? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we started a podcast. A lot of people I tell people all the time, we're really normal. Like, people just wanted to hear us talk, I guess. I don't know. And so we started it. We took a little break just because we came back to Virginia during the podcast for a couple weeks of OTAs, and then we went back, and we just had a lot of travel. So we took some time off, but now that we're back in Virginia, probably tomorrow, figure out where our setup's going to be, and hopefully get recording, and want to get an episode out every week during the season. So it should be fun.
Now, this is like relationship goals or games you like to play, food you like to eat, shows. What are we talking about here on the podcast?
Anything and everything. Clearly, I know people truly want to tune in for football, so we figure we'll talk about a little bit about the game, and then what we're eating that week, what our kids are doing, things we want to get on some of his teammates and friends onto it as well this year. Kind of spotlight different organizations within the community. So kind of a little bit of everything, like a lifestyle, or the Lenos lifestyle at least, because it might not be a normal lifestyle for others.
Charles, I talk with former players. They suggest that the body kind of lets them know when football season is back. What is your body kind of telling you right now?
My body feels good, but I don't know, man. I've been doing this for a while now, so the time just lets me know that it's football season, honestly. When I get pissed off that I got to go back, that's when I know that football season's here.
He goes through these phases. He'll get really mad, and then he's happy to be back with the boys, and then he wants training camp to be over and the season to start. So he goes through all this roller coaster. I think.
So right now I'm in the last week, so I'm pissed off that it's training camp's coming around the corner. I'm like, I gotta be at the training camp. Then I'm at training camp and I'm perfectly fine because I'm probably one of the few people who don't mind training camp. Training camp's not that. I don't know. Training camp's not. I don't know how to explain it. It's not something that I'm worried about. I'm not saying because of the situation I'm in, but I always just love practice and competing. So that's what training camp is. That's what it's all about. Every day it's about practice and competing and making sure you're pushing yourself to be the best for 20 weeks of football. So for me, it's always been one of those things where I always enjoy it.
He likes training camp because he goes all off season, spending like every day with me. And he's like, I need a break from her. So
I try to underline that, but I try to keep it down here and let nobody really know what it was about. But if you want to bring that out to the forefront, then yes, that's exactly what it is.
I love
cat's out the bag now.
Yeah.
Right. Well, is it exciting to be learning a new offense? Is this the same offense that you had with the Bears?
It's not a new offense for me. It's not a new offense.
Because you were using that offense with the Bears, right?
Yes.
So easier offense, this one than the previous one. There's no difference.
I mean, like I said, I had 7 offensive coordinators. I mean, offense is an offense. It's just how you call it, I mean, if you're talking about power, one of the most, known plays in football, I mean, power is power in one offense or it's powerful in the other offense. You just got to decipher which word is what, and that's really what it comes down to.
And the key then is calling the plays in the right order and building on top of them. Is that what we're hoping to get better at this year, do you think?
Our team wise?
Like with the play calling, it felt like the plays worked, but sometimes they weren't getting built off of last year. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you didn't feel it that way.
Oh, well, now you're having me talk about the past. I try to stay away from the past, but think about the play calling from last year and this year. Basically, you got 2 different offensive coordinators, 2 different offenses. When you're an offensive coordinator going through an offense, and this is the way you've been doing it and been taught to do it for years, it's going to be completely different than somebody else's offense. So I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to definitely see a different offense. It's not going to be the exact same. I guarantee you plays are going to be the exact same, like you said, but it's going to be called different. It's going to be, a different offense about a style and how we run these plays and things like that. So, what you said is absolutely true. If that's what you're trying to say, if I think I answered that correctly.
It is. That's the ways they were built on top of each other, using one play to get into the next play. Definitely what I hope we'll see a difference in this year. It mattered. You have a preference, pass blocking to run blocking? Does it matter? Do you hate that? Do you hate that question?
No, I don't hate it because at the end of the day, you got to do it all as an offensive lineman. I mean, especially to do it for as long as I have done it all. I would say early on in my career, that's all we could do was run the ball. So I was a really good run blocker, and then over time, I feel like, I got to a really good pass blocker. And I'm not saying I forgot how to run block, but you have to pass the ball so much because you're behind. So that's sometimes that's how it is, right? So you got to learn how to adjust. But what I am excited about and what I really do want to see is I want to see Terry, Curtis, Jahan, Antonio, B-Rob, and all the boys. We only got one football. We got a lot of weapons. And I just want to see the football in their hands and let them go to work. Whether it's running the ball, passing the ball, screens, whatever it is. I just want to see the ball in their hands, and I want to see them go to work. And I hope I can contribute to that by being down the field and helping those guys make some big plays by blocking for them. So that's all.
Well, I personally would love to see some more screens with you out in front with Gibby behind. That sounds exciting. Jen, tomorrow I'll ask you this. Tomorrow the Madden ratings come out for offensive linemen. Does Charles care?
No. I literally came in yesterday. I was like, oh, this got leaked. He was like playing a video game. He's like, oh, okay. And now I was like, oh, I told him. So the leaked one finally put him up. I think last year they had his health or something, or what is it?
I think it's
injury. That is injury at like a 90 or 92. And I'm like, he literally doesn't ever come off the field. He's going to start, I think this year is like 130 starts in a row. And I'm like, a 90, really? So I told him, I was like, hey, they bumped you up. And he's like, I don't care. And I was like, okay. I was like, all right. I told him, I read a tweet and it was like, I wish that EA or whatever, Madden put as much effort into improving the game as they do into releasing these ratings. And he's like, yeah, I agree with that. So
Madden's been the same since I've been a little kid. I ain't gonna lie.
yeah.
No, I agree that it would be nice to get some upgrades in the actual game playing and the dynasty functions and
For
and
sure,
the whole.
be a little bit better, man. I mean, the best year, Madden. This is the most memorable year of Madden. It was when Michael Vick was on the cover, and
Right.
Michael Vick would run around. He had 99 speed, so it was amazing, right? You could run around with Vick, and you had the playmaker mode where you could send people deep and you bomb into people and stuff like that, or maybe cut across the field and you can throw all that. You can kind of do that in this Madden, but it's not as good. And then the flashlight, when they had the little flashlight, the pan.
Yes, right.
Like Michael Vick, he was a great runner, but he wasn't the best passer. So his flashlight was this big, but Peyton Manning's flashlight was this big. You'd see the whole field. That if they bring that back, that's like elite Madden play. Like that was my favorite Madden, but I don't know how it was. I think I was
And if they'd implemented some of the early stuff they did from NCAA football, would have been nice. I never quite understood why the two had to be so ridiculously separate. That's right, in play style.
Yeah, that is true.
Training camp's coming up. I know you guys are doing something big with the hog farmers. Love those guys. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, we're bringing out a family on, I want to say it's like August 9th, out to training camp and giving them a pretty cool experience. And can't give too much away because it's a surprise for the family, but it'll be an awesome and memorable day for them. And then we have a lot of stuff coming up with the hog farmers this season, and we're really excited. It's a handful of teammates are also getting involved with the hog farmers this year, so it should be a great year with them.
Incredible things that those guys do. I've had them on the show plenty, and I'm always amazed at what they're able to achieve. What have you guys learned from your partnership with them?
I would say the one thing I learned is this sense of unselfishness, like that they have. Like these are guys that will have jobs, who have different things all across, all different walks of life, but they come together for an unselfish reason to give back to their community. And I think that's the one thing that inspires me more than anything.
I think they're just like a huge inspiration. Kind of like Charles had touched on when we went to the Super Bowl. I feel that every time I talk to any of them, I'm like, we can do more. Like there is so much more, people that could use the impact that we can provide. And, I literally just talked to Chris earlier to this morning, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I need to do this, and and sometimes I have to slow myself down. It's like it's only me, but yeah, I was like, it's just amazing what they do, and every time we talk to them and work with them, we're just inspired to do more and to touch more people's lives.
I always think it's unfortunate and maybe just unfortunate is the right word, but so many people think that those guys are a part of the organization, or they're getting crazy perks, or they do it for that, and it's the farthest couldn't be the truth. Charles, you hit on it. Like I said, I've had interviews with those guys and talked to them, and the amount of time they put in on their own buck after their jobs are over. I mean, if people, I think, fully realized what that meant and how much time it was, they'd be stunned.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. Like they're literally an amazing group of individuals. I say this about a lot of walks of life, but if people use the negative energy that they're directing towards whoever and just, channel that inside, we'd be a much happier world, So people who say that, hey, why don't you guys just go do something positive in your community?
Couple more things I want to get to that I know you guys have coming up. The flag football, it's a field day or a flag football event that's coming up?
Field day on Saturday. We're partnering up with Foster the Family DC, organization that works with getting foster families the necessities that they need when foster children get placed into their home. So we worked with them over the holidays. The kids all want to play football. We were inside. And so we said, we're like, we'll come up with a day we can do something. So we thought it was going to be a pretty small event, and it's turned out to be a very large event. So we're figuring out all those logistics right now, and I know it'll be awesome. But yeah, I think we have close to 300 people showing up this weekend, so it should be pretty.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a big event. And for a charity that I really was not familiar with until you sent me the email about the foster families, what an incredible idea. And people that need some help that are again doing great works.
Check it.
The other is a couple. I'm sorry, Charles.
Before you jump to this next question, that's where I give a shout out to my beautiful wife Jen, because she's the one who does the research on these organizations. No, a lot of people, some people do recommend, but she still goes out and seeks these organizations and gets the recommendations from the people. Has to still vet them and go through the whole process. And when she brings these organizations to me, and I'm just like, yeah, that's a great idea. And every single one that we've been working with, I'm just like, yeah, this is what we have to do. And she's the one that goes seeks that. There's nobody coming to us being like, hey, you need to work with us. You need to work with us. No, Jen does the research on these organizations herself. There's no big company, nobody out there like, funneling through some like little filtration system. No, this is her doing the mass majority of all these organizations and doing it by herself. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Blessed to be a blessing is what they say. It's got to be a wonderful feeling to be in a position to help so many. It's also got to be daunting sometimes, I'd think, to like be around some of those that are so much less fortunate, I guess, or in such critical positions, as in with some of the people that the hog farmers are helping. I could see where both of these things could be true, where it's all inspiring and also maybe very frustrating sometimes, disconcerting.
Yeah, it's sometimes frustrating, but also just putting things in perspective. I think that's the biggest thing when we're working with all these different organizations, individuals, and people who we're dealing with. It was a time last year we worked with a family through Leno clause, and it's touching me right now because Jen already know what I'm going to talk about. Her dad died, and we both were on the call with each other, and she was talking about how she lost her dad, and it's really hard for her. But I just lost one of my good friends, earlier that year, and we both had a moment on the Zoom call just like this. Well, we're both crying, we both feel this pain. And I think that's something that, when you have that connection, something like that, you never want to forget that. But you can always put yourself in those people's shoes. You can always, just because we're fortunate doesn't mean that we couldn't not be there. Like, there's no way that, God puts us in these positions to be like, oh, this is all for me and I did it all by myself. No, it can turn at any moment and any chance. So just understand and be appreciative of the life that you have, and put those things in perspective. I think that's the one thing that I try to do every single time I'm working with different organizations or individuals. Just putting myself in that perspective and that mindset of this could be me as well.
You mentioned Leno Claus. What was the genesis of that particular project that you guys put together?
But the funny thing is, the first thing that comes to my mind, I think she's gonna say it too, chaos. I don't know. It's chaos, man. But it's so gratifying.
It's the best month of the year and the most chaotic month of the year. Last year was our first fully in-person Leno Claus because of COVID the past 2 years. And when I tell you, like we didn't even leave for bye week. We were doing events all bye week last year, which I'm like bye week falls in Leno Claus again this year.
So I'll be working.
So yeah,
I'll be working overtime again.
Our house turns into Santa's workshop. The kids think all the toys are for them.
Right.
So it's just, I'm kind of glad we finally cleared out like a whole storage place in the basement now. So we have storage now for everything, but it is crazy. But literally I probably buy the end of the first week, every time we're driving somewhere, and he was like, "Oh, how many more days of Leno clause?" Like, he's like, "Oh, I have work in the morning, this and that," and then we leave, and he's like, "I'm so glad we did that." I'm like, "I know, it's every single event."
Yeah, it was
But-
days. It was days in the off season where I'm working double days. Like we'll have something set up in the morning, and we'll go get some lunch, and then we have something right after that.
Oh, you mean bi-week?
Oh, bye-week. Yeah, bye-week. We'll have
2 events a day.
2 events a day.
Sometimes 2 events and a drop off of stuff for another event. So yeah, I kept him really busy last 5 weeks. So
Fun stuff.
hope you're ready.
That's fun stuff.
I can't imagine anything better though than providing, great Christmases for kids that weren't going to get it otherwise. Yeah, but what a great idea and a great adventure. The last one, Jen, you had mentioned to me, and I thought I had heard on social media you talking about this before, but you guys are going to work on a cookbook, as I understand it. My great love is eating and making food, so the cookbook I'm very excited about.
So he doesn't even know, but I got a publisher finally for it. They
Wow.
reached out to me.
Ah,
Yeah.
I did not
So,
know. This is
I
a
just-
surprise to me.
Yeah.
breaking news.
Found out
Surprise,
a
man.
few days ago. So when you emailed me and asked me, I'm like, perfect. I'll break the news to him here.
Damn.
So we got a publisher. They're basically giving us 50% off of what the actual cost is to publish a cookbook, if we agree clearly to have all of our proceeds go towards our charity, which that was the plan in the first
I was
place.
already playing.
So my goal is to have it completely finished by November, and then we will have it out for the holidays. So
I'm taking some of the cookbook meals to camp
no,
already.
literally, my plan was next week. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna send you with some extras. Now you have a lot of big boys in there. We need to vet it out and figure out what recipes are going in there. So these are a couple of his favorites. So of course they'll be in there. But he brought his nice camera with us, so he'll be on picture duty. So the whole cookbook is, we're coming up with the photos and the recipes, and then we have a company that will be putting it together for us.
I gotta go on YouTube and look up how to do some photography now. Man, I didn't know I had to be a photographer, football player.
I keep on working. See, people think he's
I was
just
gonna
a
say.
football player and a dad, but I keep on
I'm
working.
a man of many hats now.
He's actually,
Yeah, I had it in my brain. I was just getting ready to say it, man. Of many hats. There's no doubt. That's great. Now, Charles, you're from the West Coast. Jen, you're from the Midwest. What kind of recipes are we talking about in this cookbook? Is it? Do you have a favorite style of food?
no, we just like to eat.
Yeah.
A little bit of everything. So
I got no favorite style. I just like to eat.
there's a couple desserts in there, but mostly things are sides and main meals. Might add a couple breakfast things in there. But we're looking to have 72 recipes in it. So
Oh wow, yeah, okay, I got you. Almost missed me, but I got it. Let's wrap with this since we're talking about it. What would be your last meal if you had to have one?
If I had to have my last meal, man.
a meal I cook.
Yeah, of course it's a meal that you
I know
cook.
your dessert.
You already know my dessert.
Next week you finally get it.
Yeah, I only eat this dessert twice a year. It's so bad for you. Like it's all sugar.
What is it?
It's called Scotcheroos, and it's like a Rice Krispie treat with butterscotch, and like a thick layer of chocolate on
It's
top.
chocolate and butterscotch melted on top, and it's a peanut butter Rice Krispie.
Yeah, peanut
treat
butter
on the
Rice
bottom.
Krispie. Yeah, it's crazy. I only eat this 2 times a year max. I haven't had it this whole off season. Right?
Yeah, because you're saving it for this
Yes,
season.
because I only get it in January at training camp. She always makes it in training camp, and she makes it on the holidays and Christmas. And I kid you not, I eat the whole pan. But when I saw it, so the first time she made it, I was like, "This is so good. These are yummy. Can you make these again? Can you make these again? Can you make these again?"
I was making
And
them all the
She's
time.
making them all the time, and next thing you know, like I
You realize
walk in,
I'm only eating one.
yeah, and I walk in on her making them. I said, "What is that? How much sugar are you putting in that? Wait, stop. That don't need." And then I was like, "Oh snap! That's what I'm eating. Oh, I gotta cut back on that. I can't have too many of those. My blood sugar is probably way too
So
high."
now I make half a pan. I don't even make the full pan. Or if I do make the full
Right.
pan, I make them bring them.
No need for the temptation.
Yes, so I know myself with those, man.
That's
but
your dessert.
That's
What's
my
your main
dessert. If I go with the main meal, I'll probably go with. I probably gotta have 2 main meals. I'll probably go with the rolls, the Alfredo rolls that we
Chicken
have.
bacon Alfredo rolls.
Chicken bacon Alfredo rolls, crazy. And then I'll probably do man, firecracker chicken so good. But I'll probably go with just the mac and cheese on the side. That's so much cheese. At least if I'm on my last meal, I'm gonna be cheesed out. I'm gonna blow that thing up when they put me out. As soon as they put that thing in me, I'm out of just letting it all go. But that's it's a lot of cheese. You know, my wife, Illinois, right there next to Wisconsin, they look the cheese up there. So they just roll it up with cheese.
I couldn't imagine a last meal without mac and cheese.
Right. No, the mac and cheese that she makes is crazy. It's like five cheese mac and cheese?
5 cheese. Yeah, we usually put like fried chicken on top of it. It's good.
Like a little honey drizzle.
Yeah, honey drizzle and sprinkle some bacon.
Maybe some hot honey. Ooh, crazy.
I'm getting ready to get out of here and go have a snack.
I like to make food that I'm not the type of person to make food of like, you're never going to be able to find these ingredients type of person. I'm like a normal, like Midwestern person. Like, you can find this at your normal grocery store.
You might be able to find it in your house right now. That's how simple it is, but it's really good.
Well, I'm excited to see the cookbook. Some of those things already sound great. Guys, listen, I appreciate so much the time you gave me today. This was a lot of fun. Like I said, we've never done anything quite like this before. I think it went well, and I know I had a good time, so I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Of course,
Thank you for having us. Appreciate you.
And Charles, of course, best of luck and health. We hope the best health for you this year.
Right on, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.